28, Limerick 29 points. Can you believe it? Cork have only gone and done it. They've beaten Limerick, and Limerick are gone. The 5-in-a-row dream has ended. It's officially over. Cork have only gone and beaten Limerick. I'm in a little bit of a different setting here. I was supposed to be at the game, but unfortunately, I got pulled into work, so that was the reason for the little bit of a different background that we have going on here. But yeah, fair play to Cork. Absolutely unbelievable. I did watch the game, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I've just witnessed. Like, when the full-time whistle blew, I was like, that must be what it feels like when when Dublin lose a big game or whatever, when their 5-in-a-row ended. Because absolutely incredible stuff. Fair play to Cork. The energy that they brought, the passion that they brought, like, the Rebel energy was unmatched. Like, right from the get-go, they were bang up for it. They were driving time and time again at Limerick. They were getting in to the heart of their defence. They were making a huge amount of problems, and they were absolutely brilliant in doing so. And Patrick Collins, like, how much credit do you have to give him on his puck outs? Like, time and time again, especially in the second half, they absolutely nailed it. And look, it was a tactic that they used so well in the first game, obviously, 6-7 weeks ago, when they obviously beat Limerick. And you were thinking, like, surely Limerick aren't going to leave the same amount of space. Like, surely the likes of Declan Hannon, Jeremy Burns are going to be on top of their men this time around. And in the first half, they were getting a little bit of joy. I felt like Limerick started the better side in the opening sort of exchanges, albeit Cork went 4 points to 1 up early on. But you felt like every time Cork attacked Limerick, you felt like they would score, and you felt like they probably could have had more goals today. Like, to be fair to Nicky Quaid, he made a huge save towards the end of the game, and you were thinking maybe that could have changed the tide in the match. But obviously Brian Hayes, like, what a performance, 1-4 in total. The goal that he scores, absolutely exceptional stuff as well. And the thing is, like, when you're coming up against a team like Limerick, when you're coming up against one of the greatest of all time, you can't let up, you can't stop, you can't slow down. You have to go full throttle for the full 70 minutes, possibly even more. And like, they did that, in fairness. And like, there was a bit of a lull towards the end of the game in the final quarter, in the final sort of 10-15 minutes. It looked like Limerick were starting to turn the screw. Obviously, Shane O'Brien, Adam English, who both came off the bench, made a huge impact, like 4 points between them. And you felt like, all right, here we go. Like, Limerick are just slowly chipping away at the scoreboard. They weren't necessarily trying to work goals or anything like that. Like, obviously, they had that huge chance from Grode Hegarty, which Pat Collins saved. And by the way, like, some of the saves that Pat Collins made, like, absolutely extraordinary stuff. I think he's put himself nailed on for an all-star now, in my opinion. I think he has to get it in the goalkeeper position. Like, Nicky Quaid, don't get me wrong, is phenomenal. I do think Nicky Quaid probably is the best goalkeeper in hurling overall. Well, I'm sure Owen Murphy would obviously have something to say about that. But like, that was some exceptional saves from Pat Collins. Like, it was absolutely brilliant stuff. Like big moments in the game, like stopping Galan as well. Like, that was absolutely huge. And in fairness to Limerick, like, I don't, sometimes when I'm breaking down games or analysing games or dissecting games, we look at where did it go wrong for one team or whatever. But I don't really think a lot went wrong today for Limerick. Like, their shooting was a little bit off. I think if you had to criticise them, you would say their shooting was a little bit off. There was a few misses here and there that were a little bit bizarre. Like, Grode Hegarty missed one from about 20 metres. But at the same time, like, Patrick Horgan missed probably the easiest free of his life, like about 5 minutes later, going down the other end. But Limerick shooting at times was just a little bit off. Jeremy Burns popped a couple wide that you'd normally see him score. Cathal O'Neill missed a few as well. So there was a few opportunities in there from Limerick that you'd normally see them score, that you'd normally see them pop over the bar, and they didn't. And even towards the end, Shane O'Brien missed one, Aidan O'Connor missed another as well. If they had scored both of them, it could have gone to extra time. And you just have that feeling, if it goes to extra time, that Limerick might kick on and have won it. But then again, Cork were absolutely relentless as well. So it's very, very hard to know. But like, overall, an extraordinary game, incredible game of hurling. Gutted to have missed it. I was supposed to go, and unfortunately, last minute, been called into work. So I'm actually in Manchester at the moment. So I was watching about the end of the game, obviously in the airport. So yeah, like, it was. And to be fair, there was actually plenty of Cork fans knocking about in that airport, and Limerick fans as well, which is a little bit surprising. But suppose holidays are holidays for some people. Yeah, extraordinary game of hurling. Like, will we get a better game than that anytime soon? I'm not entirely sure, but look, in the grand scheme of things, like, what does this mean now for Cork? Like, they've done the big one. You know, they've beaten the big team. They've beaten Limerick. They've done it twice. They did obviously lose to Clare earlier in the year. Like, that should be mentioned. They lost to Clare, obviously, you know, like just a couple of weeks, about a few weeks before they obviously lost to or before they beat Limerick. I think it was actually the game before, so it might have been even a week before. They obviously did go down to 14 men in that game towards the end and everything else, but you look at the form of Cork, you look at the form of Clare. Clare in the first half, I do think we're very patchy. Like, if Cork bring that same energy in the first half and Clare play in the first half as they did in the game against Kilkenny, Cork will absolutely wipe the floor with them. There's no doubt about that. Now, we know Clare are a very good side, and they won't be as poor as that. Like, they know as much as anyone. Brian Lohan will know as much as anyone that they need to improve, that they need to obviously be better in the game, because Cork won't let them away with the same mistakes. Do you know that way? I don't think Kilkenny were anywhere near ruthless enough yesterday, in fairness. And I know Eibhear Quilligan made big saves, but they were nowhere near ruthless enough, I think, to win that game. So, yeah, like, obviously running it back, 2013, obviously 11 years ago, the final, the Marty Morrissey Holy Moses moment and everything else, you know, kind of incredible. We're getting that back again. Cork and Clare in an All-Ireland final. Like, that was one of the more, well, there was a lot of memorable All-Ireland finals, obviously, from that decade, but that was one, obviously, that stood out because it was against the norm. You know, there was no Kilkenny in the final, there was no Tipperary in the final, and maybe this is a little bit different, you know, with the fact that, you know, Clare are playing in their first All-Ireland final since 2013. And I think it's Cork's first All-Ireland final as well. Correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. So, yeah, just mad. And seeing the fans as well at full time, incredible. Look, I think the good thing is for Limerick is the age profile of their players is still very, very good. Do you know that way? Like, when Kilkenny's 4 in a row or 5 in a row bid got stopped, they came back and won it for the next couple of years, from what I remember. So, like, Limerick aren't going anywhere. Do you know what I mean? And they'll go back to the drawing board, I'm sure. John Kiley, Paul Kinnerk, I don't think they're going anywhere. I don't think their key players are going anywhere. I don't think this is a situation like the Dublin footballers around like that, where you're going to have retirements and everything else. Like, your key players, Aaron Gallan, Grode Hegarty, Keane Lynch, you know, they're still all in their mid-20s, you know, mid to late 20s. And even the young lads coming in, like Shane O'Brien, Adam English, both very, very good, and arguably could have started. And if they had a start, who knows? So, I don't think Limerick are going anywhere. They will 100% be back. There's no doubt about that. This defeat will have hurted them. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But they will go back to the drawing board, and they'll certainly still be in the equation next year. I've absolutely no doubts about that. We'll run through some comments here. Michael says, "Hon Cork." Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think Cork fans will be celebrating late into the night, and I've already seen some of, you know, the celebrations on TikTok and everything else. So, yeah, fair play. A2 says, "It felt surreal, unreal stuff from Cork." Ella says, "Dublin Camogie, last Dublin team standing, roll on 27th of July versus Cork." Yeah, absolutely. Like, quite incredible to think that obviously the Dublin ladies got beat by Galway, which was a big surprise. But the Camogie team, yeah, like a huge win versus Kilkenny. I no doubt we'll break that game down a little bit more tomorrow. But yeah, huge, obviously, considering, you know, Dublin losing to Galway in both ladies and men's in the space of a week. Like, Galway, like, can you just give us a break for a minute? Who knows? Maybe we'll get them in the All-Ireland final in Camogie. That would be quite a story. A2 says, "I think Limerick being ahead at half-time actually helped Cork. They could give Limerick a taste of their own medicine and blitz them in the third quarter." Yeah, I think that's a good point, actually, because in fairness, I think for Limerick, they look like they'd started to turn the screw at the end of the second half. They started winning those battles. Like, Declan Hannon and Jeremy Burns were coming more and more into the game. Aaron Gallan was getting a lot of space, and you felt like as long as Limerick keep doing what they're doing, keep up the same energy, they'll find a way to win. But Cork just came out, and everything that worked for Limerick started working for Cork really in the second half. So there we go. Gaelic Guy says, "Absolutely save the Liam McCarthy from what the football went through with the Dubs, and all credit has to be given to Cork. Fair play." Yeah, absolutely. Like, they took their chance, you know, and Like when Dublin were going through that 6-in-a-row spell, there was chances. Mayo nearly beat them on numerous occasions. Kerry probably should have beaten them in 19. You have to take your chances when they come, and you have to put your foot on the engine. And that's one thing I would say about Cork. Like, yes, there was a little bit of a lull towards the end of the game. Maybe there was a couple of nerves. They started missing a few chances. They started giving the ball away maybe a little bit more silly than they would have sort of earlier in the game. But absolutely, yeah, like huge. And look, the final is anyone's really, and I think it's going to be a bit like the men's football as well, where you couldn't really call it or predict it, in my opinion, anyway. So, like I think Cork will go and do it from here, but I think you could make a lot of great reasons, and you could really justify why you think Clare are going to do it. You know, I don't think it's like other All-Ireland finals where Limerick are in it and you're thinking, right, Limerick should win it. Everyone's backing Limerick. I think this is a lot more 50-50 probably in people's opinions. So there we go. John says, prove the Munster Championship win was no fluke on the Rebels. Limerick have been great champions, but this was needed for the game. Yeah, absolutely. I think any time any team dominates for a long period of time, you know, when they get beat, it's always good for the game because it means someone else is going to win it. And yeah, I don't think that win over Limerick was ever a fluke, really. I think Limerick played well that day as well, but fully enough, the same problems that Limerick had in that game, they had in this game. And I think one thing that we've always saw with John Coyley and Paul Kinnerk is that they don't overly complicate things for their players. Like, they don't start putting sweepers or trying to man mark players and let's take this player out of the game, let's do this, let's do that. They just focus on themselves. And I think in some ways maybe that's come back to bite them in this game because like they didn't really look, it didn't really look like they had a solution to Patrick Collins' puck outs. Like it didn't really look like they had a solution at all. And usually they find the solution, and they did start to find that maybe in the final 10 minutes, like they made a few subs and they started winning a bit more ball. But usually they find them solutions a lot earlier. Paul Kinnerk has been so brilliant at that. But this time around, it was not the case. Gavin says, you just look at what happened to Mayo in the football in 2021. Like, it's great. It's a great win for Cork. They should celebrate, but not done yet. Yeah, it is a fair point. It is a fair point. And look, there was obviously massive celebrations at full time, and the crowd will celebrate and everything else. So yeah, look, I mean, I'm sure they'll know the job is not done. Like, it's a long famine and everything else for Cork, especially with the history of them. Like, I think it's the longest drought they've been on since they won their first ever All-Ireland. So in hurling. So yeah, look, I think it is a fair point though, and Clare will be waiting in the wings. I mean, it would be mental, all right, if Cork beat Limerick twice and Clare win the All-Ireland. You know what I mean? It would be a bit bizarre if that happened, but it could happen. It could happen. And Clare lost to Limerick twice, but you know, sometimes certain teams, you know, have other teams' numbers. That's the brilliance of sport, isn't it? You know, different styles make fights and everything else. Beast says, as a Clare man, I think we have a chance. Ryan Taylor is a massive boost. Yeah, he was phenomenal when he came off the bench yesterday. He was absolutely brilliant, wasn't he? So do you start him or do you bring him off the bench again? I'd be curious to know. I think having him as an option from the bench is definitely a huge plus. But yeah, overall, like, what a game. Looked like an incredible occasion. Like, it felt like an All-Ireland final, really. Like, listening to the crowd, the commentary, the pace of the game. You know it's a great game when you don't even notice the first half is over. Do you know what I mean? I remember there was a little stoppage before the end of the first half. There was like it was something over a sideline ball or something like that, and you were thinking, Jesus, like, the first half is done here, you know. And it was just such an epic game, back and forth, ding dong. Like, it was just both teams going fully at it. Like, no sweepers, no messing around, just both teams going at it. How football used to probably be maybe 20 years ago. Do you know that way? Like, but maybe further than 20 years ago. But yeah, like, it was a cracking game, and hugely looking forward to the final now. No doubt Cork are going to bring huge numbers to the final. Clare are going to bring huge numbers to the final as well. And for Cork, especially the thing is as well is that they do obviously have veterans in the side like Patrick Horgan, Shane Kingston and whatnot. But I seen a tweet from Fintan O'Toole, and he went through a lot of the players that obviously didn't play in the 2021 All-Ireland final. The likes of Brian Hayes was obviously one of them, a few other key players as well. Declan Dalton, I think, was another. Like, all these players have been huge for Cork, and like, if they can get over the line, like, who's to say they don't start dominating and maybe win another one or something like that? You know, and what a story that would be for Cork and Limerick over the next couple of years. But no doubt the focus will be on the game against Clare, obviously in 3 weeks time. But yeah, like, what a game. I might even watch it back, to be honest with you, because it was that good. In terms of man of the match, like, there's a huge amount of options. I thought Sean O'Donoghue as well was very, very good. Downey as well, obviously centre back, was absolutely brilliant as well. In fairness, he did an absolute colossal of a game. Declan Dalton was outstanding. Patrick Horgan as well, to be fair, even though he missed 1 or 2 chances, ironically, just before obviously his 700th point. They were saying in commentary maybe that was affecting him. I don't even think that was, to be honest with you. I don't even think that would be on his mind in a game like that. But there you go. But yeah, I thought he was very good as well, in fairness. Like, man of the match, you could go through a whole host of players, but I think Patrick Collins and his puck outs, like, absolutely brilliant. Time and time again, just launching them, the quickness of them as well, like the sharpness of them. No waiting around. It was absolutely brilliant. But there we go. Acer says Cork was 50-1 at half time in the bookies. 50-1. My goodness me, you'd be a rich man now if you went with that. 50-1, really? They're only 2 points down. Like, that's crazy. But yeah, look, if that was the case, like, I'm not a bet man, so I wouldn't know anything about that. But that would be absolutely crazy. That probably shows how much everyone values Limerick. And even watching the game, I actually never believed Cork. Like, I always believed Limerick would come back. You know, it was only really going into injury time, you're like, okay. When when Shane O'Brien missed one, when Aidan O'Connor missed one, you were like, okay, I think this could happen here. But you always felt like Limerick were going to come back, because that's what they do. They've done this so many times. But the longer it went on, the more then you start to think, okay, I think this is Cork's day. But yeah, incredible stuff. We'll be back tomorrow evening to review all the weekend's games, both hurling matches as well as some of the other games. I don't even know if I'll be able to get a hold of Matthew Hurley. God knows what he's going to be up to tonight. I'm sure himself and Dan Casey and all the lads will be absolutely loving life, and so they should, because days like this is what it's all about as a fan. So, but yeah, we will be live tomorrow at some stage. I don't know who we'll be with, but we'll figure it out when it comes around. And to finish up, Acer says Cork will win the All-Ireland now. There we go. And I think they will as well, to be honest with you. But let us know in the comments down below. All right, cheers anyone who tuned in. Hit the like button, subscribe. See you all again.